that there is visibility and that there is a route to market and that there's a way for our local content to not only be seen by local audiences on local screens, but also by international audiences on international screens. So it's a very key moment in history, and I have to say that I'm pleased to see the work that's happening with PBCJ and Listen Me, and with many other content producers within the ecosystem right now. There's something in the air. And I'm not quite sure what it is, because I know that there's been a lot of work in the background to be able to bring this project to today. But I have to also recognize that I think that there has been a shift institutionally, a shift in our production industries, a shift in our players and our people who are working in this space towards a greater collaboration, a greater spirit of collaboration, a greater spirit of how do we create the content and tell the stories that we need to tell, not just from a storytelling perspective, but things that are also investment ready taken place. And I'm glad to see my colleagues here from the Office of the Prime Minister. But one of the key initiatives that has taken place that has created a little bit of this shift and this movement towards that this ecosystem, this reason that we're here right now today, is one of the initiatives that is called the BOSS Project. It's the Business of Sustainability for Studios. And Listen Me is one of the participants, one of the selected participants within this program. And it essentially has taken, in partnership with the Office of the Prime Minister through the YEDI program, as well as with the World Bank, to be able to create opportunities for local production companies with an animation focus to generate greater business capacity and business skills, and then use those business skills towards the negotiation of contracts and towards the content, the creation of content and the negotiation of further contracts. Listen Me has been a part of that program. It's a new program, and so we are in the testing phases of it now. But the reality is that when we take these companies into market, we took them to MIPCOM in Cannes recently, and we also took the investor track to LA recently as well. And to be towards working with our content creation partners to make sure that what we are producing has visibility and viability. We just left Cannes, and Kenya did an excellent job. She was in all of the media. She was a darling. The news loved her. She was in every photograph possible. So you know that when we take our Jamaican producers and we give them the tools and the resources and the support and the ecosystem to be able to do their best work, that is when you have winners like this. So I just wish to welcome you and to say thank you for you're all here in witness of a great moment in the history of Jamaican content, particularly for the animation space and for digital industries. We are this sector. We always talk about, oh, well, what is it that's going to make sure that there's viability? This creative and cultural industry, this sector, I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, this sector is future-proof. This sector is the one that is going to be able to provide the employment and the sustainability and the economic growth and the development for the rest of the country. It's this sector. We are already, unfortunately, underreporting the economic impact of this sector. And there's definitely things afoot to change that. I know the Ministry of Culture has been working with Statin on some of these things to make sure that when we go to bat with our data is showing that the creative sector is contributing more than what we are reporting to the economy. And so this particular project, this particular content, and this particular partnership with PBCJ is going to impact the future of how we report and how we understand and what it is that we can expect to benefit from as all of the partners come together in a spirit of collaboration. So thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be here to witness this, to, be in Mass Gussie Shop. That I did watch it on TV, it was not before my time. And congratulations, warm, 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 hearty congratulations to Kenya, Listen Me, to your team, and to everyone that has been working with you through this process to make today happen. And I really look forward to PBCJ and our other broadcasters taking that mantle to create broadcast space so that local content is seen on local screens by local audiences. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson, for sharing your vision and your call to action for all of us to come together and ensure that the content from our entertainment industry is seen both locally and abroad. And it's very interesting that she made mention the mass gossip shop. So I want us to reflect on the values that was brought forward in Lime Tree Lane, the value of family, the value of it takes a village to raise a child. When you think of all the input of everyone on Lime Tree Lane in raising Johnny, I want us to reflect on the value of friendship, the friendship we see between Bones and Donald, the value of education. When Johnny gets home and he has homework and he calls his neighbor to help him, the value of disciplining our children and how we do that. The way Miss Zella, would speak to Johnny, would allow him to express himself and use her words of wisdom, and Mas Gossi as well, in keeping everyone in Lime Tree Lane in line and sharing our national progress. I want us to reflect on those memories. And when we're reflecting on those memories, I'd like the members of the cast to stand for those of us who are too young or too youthful to remember. I'm going to run through the names. Those of who are in the cast, please stand. And if I miss out any, I'm young. Well, we know Christopher Johnny Daly isn't here, but Christopher Johnny Daly, we remember you. Thank you very much, Miss Zella, Carlene, Mas Gussie, Bones, Mrs. Bubbles, Donald, Drapus, Tiny, did I miss out anybody? No, no more. Okay. Okay, so a bit of trivia before we move on. Who can remember the given name of Bones? Yes. Not from the staff. Someone from the audience. Mr. Bones. His given name is Mark Martin. Anybody remember that? Okay, let's take someone who's here, Miss Zella. That's quite right, Dorothy Cunningham. Thank you very much. And who can remember Corporal Drapus?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I am indeed excited, really excited about this evening and the history that we're about to make. I am here to tell you about the history of Lime Tree Lane, from its beginning to now. Has nothing to do with my age. I will, however, tell you this, that this is really an upgrade. Because in the original shop, there was no noodle, cup of noodle. There was no rabbit noodle. I doubt if there was any, what's that? Lucozade, much less water being sold in bottles. Right, so it's really an upgrade, right? Okay, but without saying anything else, let me just take you back, rewind a little bit. right here in the studio, in that corner, where Romper Room used to be recorded and live most of the time, is where the first set was built. And it started out in what we call in television land a filler, 3 to 5 minutes just before the newscast. And it expanded because of its popularity. I think at one time it was even more popular than the news, right? So with that, it expanded to I think 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. And it stood there for quite a number of years. When I came back to JBC after studies and elsewhere, it was still on air, and I decided that it was time to move it to another level and to make it into a regular television half-hour series. So I got together with Dorothy and the rest of the cast, and they were kind of worried. How are we going to maintain half-hour scripts every week? It was a challenge, but that cast is there, the talent that we all been speaking about earlier. They were indeed the writers. Every week, a cast member would write a particular episode, or they would get together to keep it fresh, different ideas, different style of writing, and that was how we did it. We didn't stop there. Giving you some history. We said this thing got bigger than the studio. We had to take it out of the studio. So we really took it into a lane. And we went up to Fagan Avenue, and we found a shop like this, or this is better than what we had. And that was where we shot Lime Tree Lane on location, the half-hour series. Sadly, though, with the divestment of the JVC, the series ended. Let me fast forward. Why I am so excited about this evening is that our chairman decided that we needed to hear what the people wanted of PBCJ, although we understood what our mandate was. But let's go to the people and let's organize what we called then an international symposium on public broadcasting over 2 days at the conference center. We had participants from South Africa, England, Canada, and the Caribbean. But a significant part of that symposium was an entire afternoon that was dedicated to young people. And guess who was one of the moderators? This young lady right here, Kenya. It was filled with excitement. The discussion was so meaningful and vibrant. They critiqued PBCJ in no uncertain terms, but very constructively. They looked at our logo and said, Mr. Campbell, you need to change that, right? So it can have a youthful appeal. But it was done in a very constructive way. And because of that, Minister Green, who was present for that session, suggested to us, look, I have to go to Parliament, but I'll be back. And he did come back. And when he came back, he got involved with the discussion. And out of that, we had to then plan what we call 2 consultation sessions with young people from the West and young people from the East. One was at the conference center and the other one in Montego Bay. And in both consultations, from 3 or 4 different participants, the question was raised, why can't the PBC do a more youthful production and series of Lime Tree Lane? We need to see more things like this. And then we decided to act. The approach was one, that we would try and organize, because we want the young people to get involved, what we call PBCJ Media Club. Long story short, that started this week. We have about 4 or 5 students from 3 or 4 high schools, I think, that are now on training how to use equipment so they can go back to their schools, their communities, and do programs and send them into the PBCJ for broadcasts. Out of that, we decided, I got a call from this young lady, Mr. Campbell, I have an idea. And she always has these wonderful ideas, always have all these ideas. So I said, let's talk. She said, I need to talk now. I said, all right, give me 10 minutes. And she came and she sat me down. And before she was finished, I said, yes, but where are we going to find the resources from? Animation is not cheap, and it takes a lot of creativity to produce these animation stories. She said, don't worry, let's knock heads together. I said, all right, let's set a timeline. She said, no, we don't have any time. And I'm serious, this only started about 2 months ago. A little more, right? I'm exaggerating, a little more. But this is why we're here tonight. And we decided that, look, we have to pull our resources together, not monetarily, but our resources in terms of our capacity, in terms of our creativity, and see what we could do. And this is a result of all those discussions tonight. And we are hoping that what you will hear from her and what we plan to do, that this series will take off and it will attract the kind of participation and investments from both public and private input so that we can really, really get this series on the road. It's going to be done at such a level in terms of quality that is not only for local consumption, because we can't produce for our local consumption anymore. We have to think about getting our programs worldwide distribution. One other thing I left out, which was very important, I said to her, we cannot do this without we get the cast of the old Lime Tree Lane involved. So we made an effort, and Mas Gussie, Dorothy, and we had quite a long meeting, and they were even more excited than we were. And that is why we knew, that is when we knew that we were onto something big and something that we think will really be a success. That's the brief history of why we're here tonight, and I'm delighted and I'm excited. I can't wait. Okay, so thank you all for coming and to share this evening with us. It's historic. And indeed, as I've said before, I know it's going to be a success. Minister, I know you were going to be here. Right? Even though we are not a part of your ministry. Because I know of your... Exactly. I knew you would have been here, and I'm very grateful on behalf of all of us here, right, that you blessed us with your presence tonight. I'm looking forward to hear from you. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Campbell. And I don't know if all of you here know, but Mr. Campbell was employed to the JBC. So when you're talking about all those memories, is it that you were... No, I don't want to age you, but were you... I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. All right, there is one cast member whose name I purposely left out because I wanted us to give her a moment of silence. She's no longer with us, Mrs. Uptown, one of my favorite characters from Lime Tree Lane. Anybody remember her real name? Judith Thompson. I mean, I knew it, you shouldn't say I want to. Okay. But her infectious character. We all have one of those neighbors, the one who always notices everybody new who come into the neighborhood, will always tell you if your son or your daughter comes home late or early, you're always too loudy for them. They are very as we say in Jamaica, uppity, which is where I think her name came from. So let's have a moment of silence for the late, great Mrs. Upton. All right, thank you very much. And moving on, we're going to get some memories from Lime Tree Lane. We're going down the memory lane with members of the cast, Mas Gussie, Miss Zella, and Mr. Uptown. Who's coming first? Who wants to come first? Would you like to come together? Give her some, yes, your favorite memory.
Beauty before age.
Yeah.
Beauty before age.
Start already.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's really a wonderful occasion. It's like something we never expected to happen. So it's all the more fantastic that it's happening. One of the memories I have when I started doing Lime Tree Lane, we started filming shortly after Gilbert. So we were working here at nights on the standby. We wanted to have enough episodes in the can for when light came back. So picture what Kingston was like at that time without light. And shortly after it started to air, we started actually with a piece of zinc fence and a bus stop, even before we had the yard. And somebody who I respected a lot came to me one day and said, I see you doing a little thing on TV. Couldn't you find something else to do with all your skills? It's really an embarrassment. And I felt so bad. But Don Buckner, who was our original director, producer, I felt such commitment to him, and I trusted him, and I decided to stick with it. And I remember fast forward a couple of years afterwards, and that person said, I saw you, the Wednesday episode, it is nice, you know. I like it, Jesus, I must bring something more like that. And how come on another Rasta at the show? So we decided to respond to and write in the Rasta. But that was one of my first things. And afterwards, I remember coming in contact with so many fantastic people, creative people like these two. You know, I had another husband, but he came on afterwards. I switched them. Yeah, keep going for it. Yeah, but it's the whole thing about the Lime Tree Lane journey is that it was a journey of growth, and we all learned from each other. We were a community, we were a family within a family, and we have maintained that sort of relationship even 20 years after the show closed. So I really, 1997. Oh. So I really believe that it was designed to create this moment. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens after this. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody all right? Yes, man. I'm here again, you know? Yeah. I'm a neighbor. Yeah, I think it was right after, I think, Hurricane Gilbert. I was at home, and I saw this thing on television. I said, wow. And, you know, it was, for me, it was, I knew Dorothy, and I think it was two other persons I saw there. And I was very excited about this thing. I said, wow, that's nice. I like it. People, you know, my friends are on television doing this little skit. And then about a year later, I got an invitation to come for an audition. And quite a number of us came for the part, Mas Gussie. And, you know, I was very, very fortunate to be chosen as a person to play the role. But I had to develop this character. So I tried to find the
two characters who would help me to build this character, and it was Charles Hyatt and my father. And so I was able to blend the both of them together to create Mas Gussie. And, Mas Gussie, for me, is a real person. I sit and I watch him, I listen to him, and it's, wow, this, just watching this person. And I think Lime Julian really gave me this opportunity to be as creative as I could. And I looked forward to playing that character, coming in week after week, and getting the script, reading it, understanding it, and just delivering and interacting with these guys. And it felt real, like it's a real person, and I really enjoyed it. And so when I heard about this opportunity to come and do this animation series, I said, wow, Lime Tree Lane lives. And it's really a joy for me, because for me it was such the value. I think many persons spoke about it earlier, that Lime Tree Lane represented, and we're all about for the family, clean, fun, and so with this new opportunity, I think we're getting a chance to do what we did before and not really want to, because we really believe that entertainment in Jamaica, no offense meant, needs a little topping up. And I think we're here to stop some of the things that we enjoy as entertainment, and to bring back the value that we should embrace as a nation going forward.
Well, they've pretty much said everything. But I have a confession to make. When I used to watch Lime Tree Lane, I didn't know anything about about the series until somebody introduced it to me, and I said, "What's that? 2-3 minutes? What's this about?" I didn't like it, quite honestly. So when Pablo called me and said that he'd like me to look at a part, I said, no, I don't want to be a part of that, sorry. Yeah, so he persisted, but I refused. And eventually he tried some other actors, and he called me back a few months later and said, "Listen, man, I can't find the right person for this part. And, we have a very, Miss Upton, right?" I said, "Yeah. It's not everybody can really deal, right? And we think you'd be a good fit." And eventually, he was my good friend, and I felt like I was letting him down. So I eventually said, "All right, let me look at it." And I came in and auditioned, and he said, "Yes." And I eventually joined the cast. I mean, I knew these guys, and I said, "All right, let's do it." And they were actually expanding the time at that time as well. I came in, late 88, 89, thereabouts. And, the thing just changed my life. After the first episode that I appeared in was broadcast, I couldn't walk on the streets. I mean, everybody, "Where Miss Upton? Well, yeah, Miss Upton was..." I said, "Oh my God." I mean, that was, I said, "Pablo are leaving the show," because him said, "No, you can't do that," and it's just that my life, and it has not been any different since then. It's as if Lime Tree Lane has been over, 20 odd years ago. And it's still fresh in people's minds everywhere I go. I'm in the insurance business, so I do a lot of travel all over the place. And everywhere I go, I went to a place in Portland. You hardly saw a house. I went with some friends, and we were by a river. And I saw a young lady, come up to a little lane, a little side road, and she kept looking, and she ran off down into a little area. I said, "Wait, with that ugly?" And anyway, within a minute or two, a whole set of people came up there and a whole big excitement. I couldn't believe it because I didn't even know so many people lived in that little. I mean, it was basically bush, right? And that's one of the. I said this program really has reach, and it affected so many people's lives all over the world. I mean, when we travel doing shows overseas, do an interview, the minute they hear Lime Tree Lane, performing space full. You know, because people have this memory of Lime Tree Lane from way back then. The younger ones maybe see it on PBC, those who watch it. So it's been a life changer, and the fact that so many people still talking about it tells me that there's something special about this show. And I'm happy to be a part of this. Second shot. Hey, so here we are. Yeah. All right, looking forward. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, everybody.
I told you we'd be going down memory lane. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Kenya Mattis. She is the CEO of Lissime Caribbean and the whole conceptualizer of this idea. Miss Mattis.
So all of these mics, me have to stand up over here, so no. Okay. All right. We good? Yeah? Over here. So I grew up in Ocho Rios. I have very early memories. Actually, my earliest memories are of stories. So I remember cartoons and commercials as my very first stories. For some reason, if you told me any product, I could sing you that commercial from start to finish, and probably a couple more because I had a playlist in my mind. And I also was a huge fan of Bugs Bunny. I don't remember much of what happened between the commercials and the cartoons, but for some reason, I remember Lime Tree Lane. I remember Lime Tree Lane, and I associate that memory with dinner time. I would be sitting and eating dinner, and I'd be watching Johnny and Miss Zella, or Bones and Donald, or the Uptowns. And it never felt strange to me because it felt very real. I know it was a drama, but it felt as if it belonged. It was very Jamaican. The scenarios were so relatable to me. And it was very strong on, I remember, community. So whatever happened at the end of the day, no matter how tiny, taught the things them. And, you see herself up in her life from, she was selling us a stall by the bus stop to, I think she had her own emporium by the end of the show. It just felt like, at the end of the day, everyone came together to support each other. And that sense of community and togetherness, it really stuck with me as a strong part of what I identified my dinner time with. So, fast track years later, I moved to Kingston, and I decided to go into marketing. And I studied, had a career as a marketing manager, and I started a company. And it's a storytelling company, go figure. And it's called Lissime. My co-founder, Icon, named it Lissime, partially because he's a sound designer by profession, but also because Lissime, when we say Lissime in Jamaica, it really means pay attention to me. It means I have something important to say, and you're going to sit up and listen. And that's what we wanted to do for the people we work with. So Listen to Me is an animation studio, for those of us in the room who may not know, and a design lab. So we help brands design their campaigns, design their brands, design their identities. And we also do that with the hope of helping their audiences' lives become better. And as a design lab, that's what we do. As an animation studio, we really focus on animation, storytelling, and technology to create these stories and campaigns that hopefully can inspire social change. And it's also something I should note, I think right now one of the campaigns that really sort of embodies that is, I don't know if you've seen any of BCJ's, that's the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica's recent Think Before You Post campaign. So we actually conceptualized that concept. They came to us and we worked on the animations that are part of that campaign, and it was something that really struck a chord with us, because we want to use our storytelling to bring social change, and that was the merging, a perfect marriage of the two, if you will. And so, you know, as we sort of work together on doing this, we're developing different business models. We're a startup, right? We've been doing this for 5 years, but we're still working on making sure that we develop models that can grow, that can scale, and that we are being smart about how we're running our business. In doing this, however, I never once dreamed I'd be in a studio like this, in front of an audience like this, signing an agreement like this. I think it's very powerful. Certainly a moment that, although we haven't started yet putting stylus to Wacom or pen to paper, which is the new pen to paper, it's a moment that I'm so happy that everyone here is willing to participate in, because it's going to be a long journey. If we know anything about animation, we'll know that some of these shows that you see on TV, they take for a long time to get done. But at least in our journey, I think that this is a good thing to at least take note of. Like, this is a part of a movement that's happening. And frankly, I could not do any of this on my own. I really depend on my team. In fact, is anyone from my team here just now? Could you guys just come to the front for me, please? Could you just, real quick, come? Gosh, I work with a bunch of introverts, and it's really very hard to get them to just show themselves. Oh, you're in a white shirt. Good, not black. Okay, great. So this is just a part of the immediate team. Our creative designer, Leo. We have Gash, Wayne, Janelle. We have 2 interns that recently joined us from our Karamak partnership. The MOU that we just signed with Karamak brought us these 2 persons, Janelle and Patrick. Joel and Patrick. This Joel Janelle Jet thing on the team is like really very for old people like me. And there are a few more team members as well. We have, actually, I don't know if you want to be identified, but my mom now works with me as well, Dion Mattis. She's at the back. And Icon is sitting there. He's recording for some reason, not coming up here, but that's fine. He is our sound designer extraordinaire. I just want to say I didn't get here alone, and I'm here because I stand on the strong and solid work that they do. I'm really very appreciative of the quality that they produce, because I know the process now. And although we're here, by the way, Mr. Popcorn is working over there, you know. Big up to yourself. I know that tonight we don't have anything of Lime Tree Lane to show, because this is marking the beginning of that journey. After tonight, we'll start working on it. But I do believe that I can at least show you something to kind of give you a sense of the work that we do, and to give you an idea of what it is that we have, we've challenged ourselves, the quality of work that we challenge ourselves to live up to. So I'm just going to try and do this now, and hopefully it will. Okay, all right, fine, you missed. Yes, you can. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. I'm going to try not to touch this, because I realize it definitely is jumping. But by the way, that's us in the office space, and this was when our lovely cast members came to visit. And that's what's at nighttime. So there's daytime listening and nighttime listening. So what I'm about to show, I want to also say thank you so much to all the representatives from Kingston who are here. I'm going to actually show the thing that we just uploaded to your site. So Kingston is a great competition and a space for us to expose animation talent in Jamaica and the Caribbean. And what I'm about to show is not necessarily a premiere. It is a private viewing party, if you will. So Film Commissioner, we can screen this elsewhere and call it a premiere, right? Okay, great. Just want to make sure that we're observing our protocol. But because of that, I'm going to ask that we just not show this on camera, if you will, or just kind of turn the cameras on me, but not on screen. And let's just take a look at just a brief snippet of some of the work that we just finished. And let's make sure that everything plays. I'm not really sure. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something that's unconventional here. What's that? That's true. What's unconventional in a room where everything is conventional, right? Okay. So a while ago, the full sound wasn't playing. So I'm going to try and make sure that everything, the audio works. You have it there? It did work. Okay. Let's try it again. Let me just make sure it plays when I do it here. Yeah. So it works on my laptop, but it won't work on the screen. Isn't that amazing? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch it. They'll do the sound from over there? All right, cool. So put it back in. Isn't technology beautiful, ladies and gentlemen? Technology is so amazing. It works in the run-through, but not live. All right, there's actually voices that you'll probably not be hearing, but that's okay. Start it again and put the microphone to the speaker. All right. Okay. Listen, me get instructions, me I follow them. All right. When your mother is here, you see? Community. Okay, here we go. This is it now. We're ready. Yeah.
Built a spaceship. Then she flew to the stars. As soon as Earth was out of sight, her smile became so large. This world isn't big enough for the brain that's in my head. There are galaxies to see. I must go full speed ahead. Cam saw a shooting star, and on it she made a wish. To make a new friend from afar, maybe a flying fish. I can fly my spaceship where others have fled. And I'll name a planet Camrock or Unicorn Hardo Bread. With a flash came a creature bigger than all the stars. It showed her many planets that were neither near nor far. Aren't these new galaxies beautiful? Mr. Flying Fish said. And here's my favorite constellation. Its name is simply Bed. She tucked her little explorer in and heard not a peep. But for Cam Cam, adventure never ends, even in her sleep. Good night.
Okay, that was it. By the way, it's not a small deal that these two interns from Karamak come, and in a couple of months, them on credits for animation. So yes, please train them. We will use them, Karamak. Okay. So what do you think, guys? That's the first time like anyone apart from us has ever seen this. So, okay. Minister Grange, I saw that it was working. It was having its intended effect, right? Okay, very good. So thank you very much. Thank you, team. I do believe that with the quality of work that we're aiming toward, what we really want to do is make sure that whatever we produce for Lime Tree Lane, we spend the time, we focus on the story, we make it strong, we make it visually appealing, we make it globally accessible from storytelling standpoint, and also from how it connects with today's kids. Because what we're looking at now is how we translate this icon of the 90s to kids who today are very different. Masco Sena, you were having this conversation about, boy, people today is not the same people. So imagine Bones with a cell phone. Like, we have to now think about how we sort of translate the stories and make it not just relevant for today, but also for the future and for other markets. So we definitely want to make something that is ready and fit for global distribution. I definitely take your point, Film Commissioner. And it is definitely our aim to ensure that whatever we do, it's not just for local screens. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of partnership and support. Is anyone here familiar with Peppa Pig? If you have a child, you know of Peppa Pig. How long is each episode of Peppa Pig? It's 5 minutes long, approximately. And each episode, if my numbers are correct, could you guess the budget for production for each episode? Good. Better you don't guess. Because I think it's approximately around the ballpark of $38,000 US to produce each 5-minute episode of Peppa Pig. Right? Now, I believe that with the Jamaican Tonya Han McFashion model, advanced strategic model and approach, we can certainly do it for less. However, it doesn't mean that we can do it for free. So what we need to do is to make sure that whatever we do is fit for global screens, but to arrive at that quality, we need to have that level of investment to make it work. So we plan to employ the Lime Tree Lane go-to-market approach of starting small and growing incrementally. With our recent trip to MIPCOM, we learned the importance of just going somewhere with a teaser and a pitch Bible. And with those two things only, you can actually make some strategic connections with distributors, with sales agents. And so I think that with these kinds of strategic relationships, we can certainly make a dent in the markets that we're targeting. But I didn't say that to scare you. I just said that to say that it's definitely a team effort. And I'm glad that everyone here wants to join us on the journey through Lime Tree Lane. And we're here for the long ride. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm definitely excited. I can't wait. That was very inspirational, that little run. Definitely worth the wait and all the hiccups, definitely. So, we're going to be doing the signing between the CEO of PBCJ, Mr. Keith Campbell, and Ms. Kenya Mattis. So, Kenya up again. And it's going to be quite unusual. We're going to be doing the signing in the historic. I think you should just let them see where you're going to be. Where all the important lessons, community, how you say it now, news were discussed and given, where Donald got his first job. Do we need to move the... Are you guys okay? Quite historic, quite historic. This is so cute. So Lime Tree Lane didn't actually have a community center, but we can safely say that Mascus's shop served as the place where the members of the community would converge. So it is most, how would you say it? Appropriate to have the signing of this historic occasion right there. Cue all cameras and... Don't mash up the shop. You can... They just like, no, I'm just hitch it wrong. Yeah, yes, yes. By the way, did you guys notice the community effort? So the vision is already coming through. So know that the paperwork has been signed and all the I's and T's have been crossed and dotted. We will be hearing from the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange, MP, CD, and Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport. Minister.
Well, this has been a journey for me, ladies and gentlemen. Deja vu. Keith, it's like coming home. Well, I think I have to do the salutations. I want to first acknowledge the chairman, Gladstone. We go way back. And in fact, there have been different experiences I was going way back, and I remember the last time that when Maxine was a minister, I actually sat here with her to fine-tune PBCJ, the entity as PBCJ. The actual journey started with me as the person responsible for JBC and the initial rolling out of the concept of public broadcasting with, of course, Gloria Lanneman. God bless her soul, eh? And I'm happy that I'm here today, and I don't know if it's prophetic that the Prime Minister has asked me to represent him. But you know what I mean. I've been batting for PBCJ, and I'm happy to be here as we move another step forward. I also want to acknowledge the original group, the original crew of Lime Tree. And, I was looking at the images and I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to say you don't look a day older, but you still look very youthful. We still look very youthful. And I'm just happy that you're here as part of this experience as we move into the future. And of course, Renee, you're doing a wonderful job and keep it up. I must say that we've now established the Culture and Creative Industries Council. And we're going to be up and running soon, so we're going to be working closely together. And PBCJ is also going to be a part of that council. I went to a conference that was held by the OAS and the IDB, and it was all about the creative industries. And they indicated that it's the fastest growing industry in the world. And guess what it's called? The orange economy. Now, the Prime Minister has asked me to express his disappointment for not being here tonight and to thank you for your kind invitation. But his loss is my gain, because I think the presentation tonight has been wonderful, and I know things are going to happen, great things are going to happen. Of course, I have to say a quick hello to Dennis, Dr. Howard. Now, I want to start by congratulating PBCJ or PBC on executing this initiative. I think it represents the kind of innovation that we as an administration and me as the Minister of Culture want to see in the presentation and promotion of Jamaican culture. Lime Tree Lane, which started in 1988 on JBC television, was an exciting product born out of a plan that started many years before to capture Jamaica on camera every day and showcase it on JBC TV every day. For us, it was extremely important to Jamaicanize broadcasting, particularly television. When Lime Tree Lane started, there was just the JBC. There was no cable. Local television broadcasting was not yet 24 hours a day, and the majority of television content on JBC originated outside of Jamaica. We even got into trouble with the satellite. Global media researchers usually list three main reasons for the overdependence on imported programs: the high cost of local productions, the lack of trained staff, and the lack of will and determination on the part of the management or governments. The first two were true in our case. But in Jamaica in the 1980s, I can assure you that there was the will and the determination. We did a lot of training and were able to create a lot of local programming, which at the time consisted of news and current affairs programs, such as, and I remember as the person responsible for JBC when we introduced morning television, we called it morning time. And today, morning TV is taken for granted. But it was quite an exercise and quite an experience. And then I remember when Ian Boyne called me and said, boy, I have this idea. I'm calling it Profile. And I would like you to help me to get it on television. I called up Gloria Lanneman. Said, Gloria, Ian Boyne is going to be in touch with you. At that time, he was writing speeches for, I think it was Minister Vaz. Yeah. Sent him to Gloria Lanneman and fine. And then a couple weeks later, he got back to me and said, I'm so upset. I'm so upset because they want to give me a co-host. A co-host? He says, yes. Don Buckner wants to give me a co-host. They want me and Elaine Wint to co-host the program. So I called Gloria Lanneman. I said, Gloria, it's Ian Boyne's idea. Let him co-host. Let him host this program. You now know Profile is history. Right? And there was also Scene, Schools Challenge Quiz, and Evening Time, among others. And of course, earlier on, I was responsible to organize the World Youth Conference and World Youth Festival in Jamaica. That was 85. And Oliver Samuels was a community officer at SDC. But I thought Oliver was so funny, so I asked for a secondment to me. And I said, Oliver, I'm doing this event. We have to produce 45 events over 10 days. So said to Calvin Butler, who was based in Toronto, Jamaican, who trained along with Lenny Little White at Ryerson. And I said, Calvin, I want you to come down and help me. I want to just put the camera on Oliver and let him do all the commercials for the event. Just make him talk. And after that, we must come up with Oliver at Large. And Oliver was quite a hit. In fact, we didn't have the money to do the program. I came to Gloria Lanneman and said, I wanted to see Jamaican comedy on television. And she said, we don't have the money. I said, well, just let us try and do some 5-minute vignettes. We did the 5-minute vignettes, and it was shown. It was a hit. And after that, we went out and we got some sponsorship. And I'm sure everybody here is aware of Oliver at Large. So I always said to Oliver, me boss you. But, ladies and gentlemen, 1988 represented a year of great change for local television. It was the year when we were implementing in a really major way out plan to Jamaicanize our screen. This was the year when we decided to try situation comedies, and we began producing what are still the two iconic Jamaican television productions, Oliver at Large and Lime Tree Lane. We wanted to show and promote positive Jamaican things on air, our beautiful people, our ways of life, and both shows did extremely well. Not only because of the talent of the actors, the writers, and the production team, but also because our people at last saw themselves in the characters and the stories. In fact, Oliver Samuels became a major TV star in Jamaica and in the Jamaican diaspora, and up to today, he is the most established local Jamaican actor. Even in Costa Rica just recently, I got a WhatsApp from Port Limon in Costa Rica where they want to know if Oliver can come back to Limon to do a show. So the average Jamaican could relate to the situations. In our communities, we had, almost every community, we had a Miss Zella. We had a Mas Gussie. We had a Johnny, a Tiny, a Bones, and Nosy, and pretentious Miss Upton. All of them became part of our extended families. On Lime Tree Lane, our people heard the language they spoke at home every day, and they felt a part of something good. And it's important that young people here tonight understand what it meant to us. We were young at one time, and for us, it was something great. What animation is to you today, and the excitement you feel, is the excitement we felt at that time. So we were deliberate in our decision to Jamaicanize television. Our overdependence on foreign content was a threat. And to an extent, it's still a threat. And I'm saying that for those who are in broadcasting, particularly in private sector. Research has shown that the import and dissemination of television programs from foreign countries emerges as the most visible form of cultural domination. We were in danger of that. And I believe that threat still exists, Dr. Howard, or has even multiplied because we pay more in rights for material that we play in Jamaica, both on radio and on television, than we receive. And so we must address the issue of content, because content is king, and that's the future. Although the cost of production programs has fallen significantly, I would say the cost is still high. But we now have a cadre of highly trained and creative professionals, such as this team here tonight. Listen to me, animation. Several other young people who have been trained in animation over the last few years are out there. And we are seeing this evening that there is the will and the determination on the part of the management of PBCJ as part of the government to encourage and produce Jamaican content. And I want to acknowledge the two representatives who are here from the Office of the Prime Minister. Lime Tree Lane was part of a great time of innovation in Jamaica media in 1988. And here it is again, about to form part of another great period of media innovation. As Miss Lou would say, my glad back boss, this is Lime Tree Lane town cartoon. And I must tell you, not only the kids are hooked on cartoon and animation, but adults, many adults in this room, and many adults I know, they are hooked on cartoons and television. If you want to endear yourself to a kid, just allow that kid to watch. They find everything on the internet and on television. It's cartoon. Somehow they relate to that more than they relate to anything else. So this project to animate Lime Tree Lane to present slices of Jamaican life in this new format for new audiences continues the process of Jamaicanizing our media. Lime Tree Lane cartoon will ensure that another generation of Jamaicans will see and hear themselves and feel a part of something great. I understand that the animated Lime Tree Lane will integrate the voices of the original stars with new talent, and I'm very happy for that, Mas Gussie. We welcome this public-private sector partnership, which will not only preserve and promote our culture, but will provide new opportunities for building prosperity through the creative industries. Lime Tree Lane is community. Content is king and is the future. This has been a journey. And this studio is history. This studio, there are so many stories that this studio has told, and so many stories I could tell behind the scenes in the studio. And so it's a coming together of, a tree cannot flourish if it doesn't have roots. And so roots, right here you're finding your roots, Kenya. Your tree will flourish because you're well planted here. This is fertile ground. And so I want to just thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. This is where it all began. Before I became the person in charge of JBC, I was on Where It's At. You young people here, you're too young to know about it. You understand? So when I say this is where it all began, I remember Elaine went as a host on Where It's At. The first time she put braids in her hair is when I took her down to Tivoli Gardens and had the girls braid her hair. Would you believe? She was afraid to go to Tivoli Gardens. But I had brought up what we call the TG models, the first set of indigenous models, the first set of black models in Jamaica would be on Where It's At, modeling Ivy Ralph's clothes and all the other designers right here. So what is happening tonight with animation, in a few years, you will be standing here like me, speaking about that experience and speaking about the next step on this journey. I want to congratulate you. I want to say that we're really moving into modern times because Mass Gussie Shop, I noted it, but you said didn't have Lucasade, didn't have Lifespan. And I said the toilet paper there, yes, we were using toilet paper, but I'm not sure about the brand. So I think we're on a journey. We're on a journey with this young generation. And I want to commend you and to say, ladies and gentlemen, for those of us who are not young but who are young at heart, let us all congratulate Kenya and the team for this brave and great initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister, for such a heartfelt presentation. So now we're going to be moving on to the drawing of names. So in your package tonight was a little piece of paper. I think mine fell down. Well, some people got theirs where you were asked to write your... Okay, we're going to delay it for a little bit because a lot of people didn't write down their opinions and their ideas and their names. So we, the persons in the black shirts from the Listen Me family will be coming around and collecting it. So we're going to move right along to the vote of thanks. And we're calling back to the podium Mr. Eugene Folks, Director of Listen Me Caribbean. Mr. Folks?
All right, as I promised you, what a wonderful your time we well spent here and what a wonderful night. I think it was very rich in the past, the present, and the future. And, you know, all of this would not be really possible unless we thanks from the persons that work behind the scenes in bringing off this production here tonight. The first person I'd like to acknowledge who worked behind and in front of the scenes is CEO of PBCJ, Keith. So a round of applause for Keith, please. He really, when we saw this 2 days ago, it didn't look like this. Also from PBCJ, as part of his team as well, is Polisher and the Polisher team, as I'll call it, for tonight. But it's everybody else that's from PBCJ. I can't call everyone's names. CPTC, you have been helping us throughout the whole day, and you came on time. And notwithstanding that, we still had some issues, but you worked very hard in resolving those issues, and I really like to thank you a lot. And of course, Kenya's mother, who is now part of the team, came back from Europe to join Kenya and said, boy, Kenya alone couldn't do this thing. And she's been a mountain of strength. And I'd like us to give her also a round of applause. And last but not least, the team from Telligence has provided the free Wi-Fi and also the broadcast facilities to work with PBCJ in terms of making this go out live, and as Kenny, Carlton, and the team. And so I'd like to say thank you all for coming here tonight, and we look forward to seeing more of you in the future as we unveil. This won't be our stop in terms of projects that we have rolling out. Next time we'll launch for this, but also there are other projects that we're working on. I'm sure you will hear about those shortly. So once again, thank you very much, and I'm going to turn it back over to Simone to do song and dance until we until we get the draw happening. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. So have you finished signing up your yellow papers? Not yet. Okay, we're going to give you a little bit of time because then we're going to do we're going to be doing a draw, but we're going to be wrapping up the formal part of the event. I want to thank everybody for coming out on behalf of the PBCJ family. Let it not be your last. You're welcome to come pay a visit, see what we're up to. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you all.
People keep on skanking. Lots of people keep on skanking. While the rockers keep on playing. Entertainment is a form of enjoyment. No matter fighting at the dance, dance, dance. We come for enjoy, we see.
Focus and you can achieve anything. Be your own leader. A gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Hi, I'm Doug Hollywood Gore. I'm a professional race car driver here in Jamaica, and I'm here to talk to you about road safety today. Hi, so we're off on the way to Iron Shore